Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
Welcome to the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast. I'm Matthew of Casting Across, where I explore the quarry and culture of fly fishing. And a very special episode of the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast, we're talking about the last 10 years, 2015 to 2025. This week celebrates 10 years of casting across fly fishing. Now, the podcast is not 10 years old. We're only 364 episodes in, so divide that by 52, and there's your answer for how long I've been doing this. But the website and everything that entails has been around for 10 years. A lot has happened in 10 years. I moved from southern New Hampshire to northern Virginia to Massachusetts and back to southern New Hampshire. I went from having 2 boys to having 3 boys to having 4 boys to having now 5 young men in my household. Changed jobs a few times, got a couple more fly rods, caught a few fish, and have had some phenomenal experiences, and a great many of them I can directly attribute to casting across and the things that exist in its orbit. Or maybe a better way to say it is the things that have allowed it to orbit them. So today I'm going to talk about a handful of different things, but I'm going to start with saying thank you. I say it a lot, probably not as much as I should, but I'm not pandering. Genuinely, thank you for listening. I mean it. Without you listening, this would be fun still, and I've said that for a long time. It's a lot more fun because you do listen. And I am consistently surprised at how many people listen to this sometimes. How people read the things I write. It blows my mind. But I'll talk about that here in a second. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to talk about is 10 years and how that is really attributed to my stubbornness. Let's attribute that to actually a better characteristic or trait. That is commitment and diligence. There have been a lot of fly fishing blogs, a lot of fly fishing websites, a lot of fly fishing podcasts, a lot of fly fishing media-ish things that have come and often had meteoric rises and then have fizzled out. Now, I understand why. There are days where it does feel like a grind to say, oh shoot, it's been a busy couple of days. Tomorrow's Wednesday morning. I need to have something up on the website. So I'm going to stay up and write and try to do something good. I don't want to put junk out there just to, check the box. And so I get it why people think, oh, I've got these 3 or 4 great ideas, and I'm sure once I put them out there, then another one will come. And it doesn't necessarily happen, and I get that. I try to have at least 3 or 4 things in the hopper at any given point in time. That way, if something doesn't sound great when I go to make it happen, I can switch to something else. And I'm certainly not the best writer. I'm not the most creative person. I'm not the best angler. And so a lot of this just boils down to just diligence and commitment. I don't say that in a pejorative way, that a lot of people have come and gone. A lot of fly fishing brands have come and gone. A lot of the people I wrote about in the early days, they're no longer a thing. Companies that I thought, oh man, they're going to stand the test of time, and some of them I thought, oh, probably not. They came and they went, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But one of the things that I really appreciate about casting across is how it has forced me to add one more aspect of kind of routine and schedule into my life. And this is where I would like to encourage you. I mean, if you have some sort of ambition, whether it's loose or it's kind of come together in some way, just stick with it, commit to it, allow it to become part of your day and part of your week and part of your life. This could be true for fly fishing, for actually becoming a better angler, whether it means casting or fly tying or actually getting out on the water. Just make it part of your routine. In my real job, in the real world, in ministry, people struggle with spending consistent time in their Bibles. And I just say, think about it this way. You develop a hunger for food because we condition ourselves to want food when we wake up, when we want to eat kind of the middle of the day, and then at the end of the day, we want to eat, at least in our culture and in many other cultures. So if you want to get consistent reading your Bible, just start doing it at the same time every day, and you're going to develop a hunger for it. I genuinely believe that it's a good enough thing. It's going to be something that you want to do. And so you can extrapolate that, like I said, to exercise, to fly tying, to spending time with your kids, whatever it may be. And for me, it is writing about fly fishing and writing about those who make fly fishing what it is. And so it has been discouraging to see some people kind of like start out hot and then kind of fizzle out, because I know it can be a grind. And even now, as I look through like the folks that I've written about, interviewed, and the fact that they're not doing it anymore, it's because this pressures definitely crept in, and things got hard, and so not everybody can necessarily stick it out. I've been fortunate in many ways that I've been able to, and a lot of that has to do with people being encouraging. I think about 3 specific times. One time I was the algorithm on social media changed, and so a lot of my traffic dried up. I just a little bit of an aside. I do this by myself. I there's nobody else that does casting across. It's just me. It's Matthew. That's it. And I don't want to spend a lot of money making the website into something. I want the writing to speak for itself. And so I really haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out how to optimize stuff on search engines or make a lot of traffic come through the social media. So when simply my posting on social media kind of dried up, that was a big hit. And I had somebody in the fly fishing industry give me a call and say, "Hey, I just wanted to know, I really like your stuff, and just stick to it." And for me, that was like, all right, that'll keep me going. It was very much out of the blue, and it was a really, really cool thing. Another time, I was just making a life transition, and I thought, this might be a good time to ratchet it back on casting across. And somebody just said, "Well, do you enjoy it?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, why would you want to change?" And that's a good point. And the closer I got to that transition, I thought, I don't really have words to say I'm done, so maybe that means I'm not done. And then another time, the website just crashed. I mean, it tanked. I had to do things that was very much like in Jurassic Park, like running down the dark corridor, flipping the switch, and waiting for the Velociraptors to get me to get it back up and running. And I thought, man, if I can't do this, if it's not coming back, I guess I'm just gonna be done. But I was able to get it back up and running, and here we are today. And so, there's can be some discouragement either through creativity drying up, or through just natural circumstances. But I'm just consistently impressed, like I said, where I'll put something out there, after 10 years, and people read it. Now, something else I want to say is like, I don't purposely put out junk. That's never my intention, but I'll write something and I'm like, I thought that was going to be good. And I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know, but it's together and it's good enough and it blows up. I mean, the amount of people that read it, it blows my mind, which is funny because then in contrast, there's something I'm like, I'm super optimistic about this. This is a really good article. I mean, this is killing it. And it gets just okay traffic. And so it's just kind of a reminder to me that like I'm writing for others. I'm not writing for my own brain. I am to a certain degree, but I'm only one set of eyeballs, one computer, one device that gets a click. The hundreds and thousands of others, they have a taste that isn't precisely aligned with mine, and that's okay, and that's good. And so I'm constantly surprised at the articles and the content that gets lots of traffic. All right, so that was the second thing that I wanted to mention. So first was thank you. Secondly was just the diligence it takes to do something like this. It is a labor of love and it's a passion, and it requires just a lot of grace to pull it off. Third thing I want to mention is inspiration. So to have inspiration, I think, is really important. I've had a lot of kinds of inspiration over the years in casting across, but I wanted to mention the three kind of points of inspiration that I can really remember from back when I started. There's a fourth, but I'll mention him and those situations at the end of the podcast when I get to what I wrote about this week on the website. But three of them. So one was I was reading Moldy Chum. Moldy Chum was like an aggregate website putting like fly fishing news, gear reviews, commentary up on the internet. And I remember reading that when my sons were little, when I was rocking them in the rocking chair and walking around with them, bouncing them, trying to get to sleep, just scrolling through that and really being impressed at the different voices, because it was a multitude of authors that would talk about fly fishing in different ways. And it's just thinking that was really cool that it was a little more raw than like reading a fly fishing magazine. It wasn't necessarily a blog, but it was just a bunch of different kinds of content, commentary and things like that. And I thought, that's kind of fun, and I can see myself doing a lot of these different types of content. I wonder if I could write, some gear reviews and some interviews and some tips and techniques, and if there's enough there for a website. And so I remember, reading Moldy Chum a lot in the years prior to casting across. Another one was, and I don't think I've ever told him this, but when I worked at Orvis, the fly shop in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, at the old location, which is now not anything anymore, I worked with a gent named Rob Snowhite. That's his real name. And if you listen to me, you probably know Rob because his podcast has been around a lot longer than mine and pops up first when you are looking for fly fishing podcasts. And I listened to his podcast, and the thing that really struck me was, one, it was cool because I'd known Rob. Secondly, we had a lot of the same experiences because we lived in Northern Virginia and fished in a lot of the same places, both for warm water and for trout. But the third thing that really was kind of cool to me was a lot of the things he talked about I was familiar with. And I'm not saying that in like I knew all of it, because he certainly is incredibly knowledgeable, knows a lot more about a lot of those watersheds than I do. But again, a lot of the concepts were familiar and the experiences were similar. And the things that he shared were things that I kind of, had my own experiences in those same realms. But then I thought, like, if I know like 75% of this or 90% of this, but I'm still like wanting to listen to more and wanting to hear the next episode, to me that kind of reinforced like I'm not having to reinvent the wheel. Like, how much of fly fishing is just somebody who is articulate enough and is entertaining enough, communicating things that you maybe have heard already, but you need to hear in a different way. And then maybe adding one more thing in for the person who is new. And so to me, that was a real encouragement to not podcast, because that came out years and years later, but to just kind of, lend my voice to the fold of all the other fly fishing voices that are out there. The third one was my friend Jeff. And Jeff and we'd fished since I was probably like 14. He's a few years older than me, and we fished all over the place. And it was recently, well, not recently, obviously over 10 years ago, we were fishing the West Branch of the Delaware. And at this point in time, his wife had I'm going to really butcher the niche this falls into, but it was a like home design blog that has since, just absolutely skyrocketed and just, amazing things. The biggest fly fishing blog in the world is probably a tiny fraction of the content and quality and revenue that she brings in. But he was just talking about that and saying, like, this is something you could do. You write, you're creative, you enjoy this stuff. And I remember sitting at the lodge bar at there in the West Branch of the Delaware, and him encouraging me to do it. And so as I drove home from that fishing trip, thinking, like, you know what, I probably will. Let me think of a name. Started throwing stuff against the wall, and casting across is, of course, what stuck. So those are, inspirations and sources of encouragement. And I think, every one of us can look around, and things that we are interested in doing, we can probably find similar things. So That's the third thing I want to talk about. Fourth thing, I don't get a lot of criticism on casting across. I've had a couple. One of my favorites was somebody disagreed with something I said. I think I probably mentioned this before. Disagreed with something I said, which is funny because I was citing data, but I guess these days you can disagree with that. And he's like, I question this, and anybody who has a mediocre podcast, I was like, mediocre. It is, I guess. I mean, I don't have a lot of production value, and it's just me, so yeah, mediocre works. But anyway, the most of the criticism that I get is that the amount of ink and words that I give fly fishing industry. Now, real quick, I want to tell you the two things I think I need to do better. One is photography. And part of that is I just don't like taking pictures of fish because I want to fish when I'm fishing. I try to fish while I'm fishing and write while I'm writing, and not even kind of pre-write in my head while I am fishing. Maybe when I'm walking to the stream and I'm walking home back to the car. But I don't want to try to catch fish so that I have a picture to put as a header image for an article. That's just not what I want to do. And so the photography could definitely be better. The second thing that could be better, and I'll address this here in a second about how it has been better in the past, I could definitely do more interviews. I really enjoy it, and I really love featuring people. And that is why I don't shy away from writing about the industry of fly fishing, because it's about the quarry and the culture of fly fishing. And so if I were to talk about the culture of fly fishing and really encapsulate it, I would say it's the fly shop. But what is the fly shop? The fly shop is, yes, at its most base element, where you go to procure the things that you need to go fishing. But as soon as you do that, no, it's true. You could raise chickens and you could raise goats and you can have a blacksmith forge and make your own hooks and, harvest your own bamboo and make your own eyes, and you could be totally self-sufficient. There's some poor cat out there where you're harvesting its gut. But for most of us, we're going to a fly shop to get our stuff. And then as we get our stuff, we're talking to somebody. Bare minimum, just a hello and a thank you at the register. Now you extrapolate those out, and that conversation with the fly shop person, it could be other patrons. It could be people at an event. And then, the fly shop has expanded today to online interactions with people, people on the stream side after you've left the shop. And so, there's all these relationships that you have that is part of fly fishing. And then as far as the gear goes, there's people that make that stuff. And oftentimes, I don't have a percentage or a ratio. It's not nameless, faceless corporations. For a lot of these fly fishing companies, bare minimum, it's a big factory overseas making the product. But then somebody here saying, well, let's make the wraps look like this, and let's make the case look like that, and let's have the marketing do this. And there's somebody who's not in it for the money. They're in it because they enjoy fly fishing. I would say nearly all people who are in the fly fishing industry are not in it to get rich, because they know it's not going to happen. They have a true passion for what they do. And I respect that a lot, because I do this on the side. I do this for fun. I do this to keep one foot in a world that I really, really have enjoyed ever since I was, a teenager, going on almost 30 years now. So I really enjoy the folks that are part of fly fishing. Are there a couple of people that aren't super pleasant? Yeah, but that happens anywhere and everywhere you go. So I think back about some of the folks in fly fishing that I've really enjoyed talking to, writing about, hanging out with. One of the first interactions that I remember having on the for casting across was talking to guys here for cheeky fly fishing for their reels. When they were much, much smaller than they were, we met for lunch, and they let me interview them, ask them every question that I could think of. That was really cool. Risen Fly Fishing, company that just turned 13 years old right around this same time. So when they were getting off the ground, I was able to have a conversation with them. TCO, the big fly shop in Pennsylvania, I had a phenomenal interaction with them early on as they were opening up a new fly shop. But this is where I start getting nervous. Like, who am I going to leave out? And there's so many people that I had just the benefit of talking to over the years. Big companies that I have opportunities to kind of have interactions with. I think about the folks at Farbank, Reddington, Sage, and Rio. Some great experiences with them. Of course, the Orvis Company, a company I worked for and I've been able to have interactions with through Casting Across. Another organization entity, the Fly Fishing Show. So Chuck and Ben Ferimsky and everything that they bring to the table, that was been really cool. Going there just kind of as an observer, and then going to write about it, and then helping out, and then being a presenter now at the Fly Fishing Show has been a really cool kind of journey. At the Fly Fishing Show, some of the people that I get to hang out with, thinking specifically of Lou DeGina and Bart Lombardo, and they know New Jersey well, and they let me tag along with them, and that is a lot of fun. The folks from Cross Current Insurance, and just some just good experiences that had with them, just down the line. It's been a lot of fun to get to know people, just kind of across the fly fishing spectrum. I'd be remiss to not mention some of the writing I've been able to do for Tim Camisa's Trout and Feather, more recently for Ralph Schurter and Dark Skies Fly Fishing. Just really cool opportunities that have opened up. And probably the most significant relationship that I've had within the fly fishing industry is with Scott Hunter of Vitavu. Become friends, and been able to help him selling his stuff at fly fishing shows, hanging out in the booth and being a pretend salesman for a few weekends a year was a lot of fun for a number of years. And just the kind of the relationships that he created and fostered in Central Mass through his workshop were really cool, and to see him be able to build that up, and just his diligence and hard work in that area has been really cool. But again, I could go on and on and on. Different podcasts I've been on, and different opportunities that have opened up to me, and it's just been just a lot of fun. I think that's really, if I were to just summarize it in a a lot of fun in 4 words, that's what I would say about it. So again, I'm inevitably leaving significant people out of this, but I guess, here we go. Family. My family's been so supportive. My wife has been so supportive. You've heard my wife, you've heard my boys. If you haven't, then if you're a newer listener, you go back 50th, 100th, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350th episodes. Usually my boys, my wife was on it for the 300th episode. And so definitely give them a listen, because it's, they're, I would drop this tomorrow if I had to for them. They are such gifts and blessings to me. All right. Well, I've talked about myself more than I am comfortable doing, but I felt like if I'm going to, I think 10 years is probably a time to do it. I started this podcast to talk directly to some things that are on my heart and mind as it relates to fly fishing. I started Casting Across 10 years ago because I wanted to express myself creatively. I'm excited to maybe integrate some new things, but something that's not Casting Across related. I've talking about commitment, really trying to commit to next month, starting a new content venture that's more directly towards and for my church. A lot of you know that I was part of a church plant in southern New Hampshire. I'm the senior pastor, Christ Covenant Church here, and we're confessionally Reformed Baptist, and we just have a lot of important things to share to our community about Christ's kingdom and the veracity, authority, and sufficiency of Scripture. And so those are things that I'm very passionate about sharing. And when Casting Across started, it was because I almost was intimidated to get creative with Scripture application and with ministry. But I feel like the Lord's really done a work in my life where I really have a sense of confidence, of humble certainty of how to move forward with not bringing anything to the Bible, but bringing things out of it in a way that can really tap into some of the creative things that I've.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
This is the Hunt Stand Podcast. I'm your host, Will Cooper. Each week, we bring you real hunting stories, proven strategies, and dive into the topics hunters care about most. From chasing your first whitetail to planning a western elk hunt, we cover the conversations that matter to every hunter out there. Tune in, subscribe, and join the hunt, only on the Hunt Stand podcast.
Been able to hone, certainly through preaching and teaching, but also through casting across over the last 10 years. So this isn't changing casting across. At least I don't plan on changing casting across. It's not going to be like it's going to be the Wednesday morning casting across Bible study or anything like that. But this will be a separate thing that I can't say, because of my view of God's sovereignty and providence and his work in history and in lives, that casting across is a part of whatever this next thing is going to be, and as it and casting across kind of coexist side by side. I'm excited about that, and it's going to be collaborative. I've got some of the guys at my church that are going to be a part of this also, which is really, really cool. So anyway, I'm sure I'll mention what that looks like as it comes along the line, but again, it's not going to be casting across like casting a space cross. Although I've thought about that. Don't think I haven't. But I'll just reiterate it. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. Thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. This week on Casting Across, the first article that came out was called 10 Years of Casting Across. So it's me writing about the things I've talked about today. Wednesday's article is called Video Streams of Legacy. This is the fourth inspiration. I saved it as a cliffhanger. So I had a friend and mentor in Pennsylvania, Mike Klimkos. He was a director of the Fly Fishing Pennsylvania Rivers Conservation and Fly Fishing Youth Camp that I attended in the late 90s. And then when I was a director, he was also a director. And so we fished together, we ice fished together, we smoked meat together, we smoked cigars together. It was lovely. And I was living up here in New England. In 2015, he asked me to write an article for the Mid-Atlantic Fly Fishing Guide, rest in peace. And he asked me to write an article to include in a book, The Letort, A Limestone Legacy, which is a project he was asked to put together by the Central Pennsylvania Conservancy as they were looking to secure some of the land and the headwaters of the Letort Spring Run outside of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which was and still is one of my favorite rivers in the world. And so I leapt at the chance, both of those chances, and my article made it into this book. Now, here's your cliffhanger. You want to know who I came after? The most prominent fly fishing author that I can think of. You'll have to watch the video to see who that is, and then see also if you can even try to find this book. It's kind of scarce and hard to find, but definitely check out that video. This week's recommendation, it's actually a request. Send me an email. If you've been listening the whole time, if you've been reading longer than you've been listening, if you've been around since 2015, I'd love to hear from you. If there's some feedback that you have, how can I make Casting Across better? Something that you think could add something to this. Please let me know. I'm happy to hear it. I'll put a contact form right here on the page's website. So if you're listening, the website is always on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to it. You just tap on that. It'll take you right to the website, and there'll be a contact form. And just send me a quick note. Again, if you've been around since 2015, you don't have to say a whole lot. Just say, hey, I've been here since 2015. That's good enough for me. Love to hear that. So please reach out as you have interest and time. And I once again thank you. Thanks for listening to the Casting Across Fly Fishing podcast. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app and rate the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Then head over to castingacross.com for 3 posts a week on the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish.